wants wealth, it craves power, and it will stop at nothing to get it. This Halloween, greed grows hair.
Brett, it's so great to have you back. How are you, brother?
I'm well. Great to see you, Benny. We haven't talked in a long time. I know. I watched what's been going on with you, and we were all devastated with Charlie Kirk. I wanted to connect and let you know I thought everything that you did surrounding that. Charlie was a friend and a good man, and it's amazing where we're at as a country. But I wanted to tell you thank you, for all that you did in relation to that.
Yeah, I mean, the easiest way to really put it all together is that just God did, because there was a spiritual energy to all of it, and I can't quite explain it. I don't ever process it. It still hasn't really hit me, Brett, and I hope it never does, actually.
Yeah.
But God has a purpose for all of our lives, and so we're just going to live out that purpose, and we'll see
That's
what's
right.
you see
Well
what's
said.
next, right? So, what's the purpose of hoarding and holding classified documents for John Bolton? Why would he need so many classified documents? 18 charge indictment, 18 indictments. Seems pretty serious, man. We read through the indictment earlier in the show. We'll pop it up on screen here. They're running out of space in the margins for the number of violations of U.S. code here. What do you make of this, Brett?
Benny, the deeper I dig into it, the more of a head scratcher it is. I think a lot of your viewers, they need to understand. I handled these cases both on the prosecution side and I've handled some on the defense side. And here's what happens when you are dealing with top secret. And I held top secret SCI clearance. Handled cases, where we were handling classified, very sensitive and classified top secret information. All of this information is stored in a what's called a SCIF. And a SCIF is a secured, compartmentalized room, basically, that's set aside for you to review and look at classified information. Now, when you're out in the field, like I was often, we would designate a particular room. It would have a safe, it would have locked cabinets. You would go into the room. You could not bring your cell phone into the room. You would then review all of the information. You could take notes, but those notes have to stay in the file with you. There was no exception to bringing files out. You also could not bring your notes out. You were prohibited from taking notes later after you've reviewed the classified documents if those notes were going to contain classified information. So fast forward, here we have John Bolton, who's at the tip of the spear in terms of dealing with classified sensitive information that our enemies would want, information that foreign countries would trade in and utilize to try to attack, both the country as a whole and individuals inside the country. We have John Bolton, according to the indictment. Not only does he remove classified information, so a criminal act, not only does he take notes and then remove his notes from that criminal act, then he also takes notes in retrospect in the form of a diary. And then worse, Benny, and this is the one that really shocks me, he shares it with individuals that may not have any clearance, family members or individuals close to his family. That's the kind of stuff we never saw in any of the cases that I dealt with. We had individuals that brought classified information out. We had individuals that used it for their own personal gain. But I have never seen a case in which you have someone at that high level willing to take out classified information, put it on their personal server, and then share it with others, both their notes that are classified and top secret and the underlying information itself.
How do you even get this information out of the SCIF? I mean, it seems like some of it is in the form of the diary, but it also seems like he also had hard copies, according to the indictment. He had a sort of a slew of items.
Well, that's right. And Benny, in his position, he would have had an office, and in that office, he would have had the ability to review classified information because he's steeped in it every day, that position every single day. So all of it, though, has to be locked up. It can't be just left out for cleaning people to come in and look at. Yeah. But does it give him opportunity? It gives him more opportunity than even, say, myself when I was dealing with classified information, where you have a room, not your office, where you can review some of this stuff, and then you have to leave, and somebody is observing what happens when you leave. Now, in his position, there would have been individuals that would have seen him leave. And did they observe him having documents? Did they observe it on his desk? Did they observe him, individuals around him? Did he bring information? It's designated. It has a classification designation on the documents, as we've all seen. So to me, I don't know how we got here. It's one thing to be the vice president, Joe Biden, or to be Donald Trump, and to have documents, and you're capable of having them with you always. John Bolton was not the same. He was not in a position like the president's
Yes.
position where he could designate something classified or not. Instead, he had to physically remove these from the SCIF. He had to physically remove his notes from it. And then later, and not a lot of people are focusing on this, Benny, he was taking notes from what he recalled that was classified. And why is that significant? Well, because he was referring to these as his diary, and he would share that with other people. And then fast forward when he reported that his personal email was hacked by a foreign country. And he came forward and he said, "Hey, my personal email has been hacked." But what he did not reveal is that he had classified information, top secret classified information on that particular email server.
It's amazing how Dan Scavino always knows. When was this put up? What did John Bolton do with all of his yellow notepads that he always took copious notes on in the cabinet room and office, situation room, traveling abroad? Look at this, sent in December 2nd of 2024, approximately 10 months ago. Yeah, good question. It's like they understood what was going on here. I've been to the National Security Council. I've been to their offices. They wouldn't even let me in with my cell phone. I had to lock my cell phone away. I had to, and I went in there. It was like everything was completely walled and locked off. And you would have had to have run like an operation where you're intending on taking something. Like you had to be very intentional about taking classified documents out of there. Unlike President Trump, and I'm very glad that you talked about the difference, but if you wouldn't mind just very quickly nailing this down, President Trump, as the chief executive vested with the full executive branch of power, holds his security clearance for life and is entitled to security briefings and Secret Service for life and has plenary power to classify, declassify, hold classified documents, like get classified briefings as a current sitting or former president. Is that correct, Brett?
You're absolutely right. And even more so, these were documents that while he was president, he gathered and he collected and he wanted to maintain. And did he have the right to do so? Yes, in fact, he had the right to take a document that is classified and keep that document. And the fact that he keeps that document declassifies it in essence after he leaves office. So it's a very strong authority that the president has. I mean, he single-handedly could look at a document, he could indicate that he wants so and so to see it, and that person could not have a security clearance, but they could see the document.
Hmm.
It's not a formal process of declassifying a document. What it is the president gets to decide who's going to see what. I mean, he is the absolute authority in the executive branch. And so when they brought the case, we criticized it, and everybody said, well, a grand jury returned the indictment on this case, so you need to respect it. Well, where are all those loud voices now? Here you have a Maryland grand jury that returned an indictment. And what you see in this indictment, and as this is the one part of the indictment that is not being highlighted, and that is the criminal law surrounding the mishandling of classified documents says it's one thing to possess it. And in fact, the penalty will be somewhat low if the only violation is the possession, if it wasn't, intended, or if it was perhaps a mistake. It's still a criminal violation. It may not amount to much prison time. The aggravation of a sentence or the increase in a sentence in this type of a case comes as a result of the intention to use the material.
Hmm.
So here, there's a real risk that he may be facing some serious prison time because we now know that he was using it to showcase the issues he was on, whether it was to make himself look important, to later to capitalize on it, financially through a book or whatever. He was sending it to family and friends and showing that there was an aggravating circumstance surrounding his possession. So not only does it show it's very intentional that he took it, it's showing that he had a purpose for taking it. Now, Trump, they could never find the purpose of him taking something, let alone that it was unlawful to begin with. And that's why the case fell apart. You had a judge, as much criticism as you want to make of the judge having been appointed by President Trump, she was absolutely right to say, look, I want to see the underlying support, and I want to see that there is a legal basis for you to bring this case against the president of the United States. Here, we don't have any of that. We have an individual who was personally trying to capitalize on the information, whether it was to, expand his ego and his importance, or to gain financial, benefit from it. But he had a clear purpose for taking out classified information and then disseminating it.
What do you think will happen? How do you think this will play out?
You
You've
know,
been
you
very
have
good
it.
at handicapping, Brett, since you've
Yeah, yeah.
since you've done this your entire life. So
I think I would say it's there's a 95% conviction rate across the country in federal criminal cases, and that includes areas like
unless
Maryland
Maureen
and New
Comey's
York.
charging the case, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Um, I think a jury is going to be difficult to impanel, but they'll get it done. Many have criticized this judge as being Obama appointee. The problem you have is this case is not one of those areas where there's a lot of subjectivity. The gray areas don't exist in this type of a case. It's either a possession, and when you see things like he made comments in some of the emails about his diaries and disseminating it, that this was to be kept quiet, and you see some of that information, more of that's going to come out, which is going to show that he had absolute knowledge of what you can and cannot do with the classified documents. So I think a conviction will occur. The judge will for the first time, be able to really make an impact on the case when it comes to sentencing. I predict it will be a low sentence. I don't think, with having no criminal history, I think they'll hang their hat on a very, low sentence that probably is not consistent with several of the cases that, I'm aware of, where regular, regular people are being charged with this, which most of them do several years in federal prison when they are accused and convicted of these crimes. But I predict this will probably be a low sentence given the judge.
Mm. Well, you know what? The process of the punishment, and I'm glad that it's being exposed, and I'm glad that all of them are being exposed, from Comey to Letitia James to John Bolton. And I hear that these are just the appetizers, so I guess we'll see.
Yep, that's
The
right.
final word, Brett. And if you don't mind, I'm just going to play you, since we put up a Scavino tweet. We'll put this one up. He just posted this as you were talking, as you were giving me the last answer, Brett. Scavino just posted the yellow notepad FAFO. So the floor is yours. Take us out, Brett. What should we make of this current DOJ? Bolton, Letitia James, and James Comey can come get it.
Well, I said, long ago, when they came after conservatives, when they came after Trump, I said, be careful how you use power. We have never seen in the history of the Department of Justice the kind of abuse we saw launched under the Democrats. And I indicated that, power is going to shift. And what is it going to mean? It's one thing if you have clean hands, but we knew what happened with Comey, what he did to protect Hillary Clinton. We knew what they were doing in terms of trying to target a political opponent like they did. They went after the lawyers trying to represent, the target of all of their animosity. And they had a scorched earth approach. And I warned that the tables will turn. The difference between now and then, though, is very much like what I've said before. This is not revenge; it's a reckoning. This is one in which we know their hands weren't clean. We knew that they had committed crimes, And now there's individuals that are in office that are going to present that to the grand jury and let them decide whether or not a crime has occurred. And they're going to present it to a regular jury, and a conviction is going to happen. And everybody on the left is going to scream. They're going to scream that this is, using the justice system, all the things that we tried to, make them aware of. Well, they've been the bully, and they don't like it now that it's been turned on them and the microscope's been turned on them. And the only way you effectively, get rid of a bully is you punch them back hard right in the nose. And I think that's what's happening right now. And, it's not surprising to me that you have Letitia James that went after President Trump for the very crimes that she was actually committing. It's not surprising to me that you had Jack Smith and many others that were forcing, a prosecution. Why? Because they were going to have to give up power if President Trump won. So now I will go toe to toe with anybody that believes this is just, revenge by the Trump administration. It's not. These are day in, day out agents that are presenting these cases to a grand jury of citizens in some of the most liberal parts of this country, and they're returning indictments. So there's more, I'm sure, that will happen. I hope they always stay grounded in good facts and the law is on their side. And if we do that, then I think the country starts to see what the consequence of weaponizing our justice system is in this country.
It's not revenge, it's a reckoning. You're exactly right, Brett. And it's beautiful to see. It's very biblical, by the way. It's founded in the Christian doctrine. And right. It is the role of the government, actually, to execute justice against evil men. And so, Brett, Godspeed. Go follow Brett, obviously. 50,000 subscribers here on X. He's just one of the sharpest and one of the smartest, and always has that beautiful Western aesthetic that America needs more of. Please always keep the beard, Brett. Never do the mustache like John Bolton. Never go full mustache putty. I hear under the mustache was where they found most of the documents, but that might be just a rumor.
There's still some they're pulling out of there.
Yeah, Godspeed, Brett. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Benny.